Hey everybody, welcome back to our newest Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battle. For the very first time, we are diving into the underused tier versus Jay, aka Tibbs. We set up this match over Discord, I believe over the Pokemon Battling Hub Discord server. Great matches to be had there. He's got some really strong Pokemon and a really strong defensive core. So let's get into it and see how it went down. Alright, aka Tibbs. Jay, we are going to be leading here with Baboom, our Zarude, which is of course a play on words of baboon, kinda sorta, if you couldn't tell. Also, he's gonna make a Baboom in the battle, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. We see this Heatran is carrying the air balloon, and I would like to go ahead and start this match off by bluffing hard a choice scarf, because I know it's gonna enable me to possibly get a pretty good lead on my opponent. Now, not knowing my speed tiers too much, but I'm pretty sure Zarude is pretty fast. Grass dark typing isn't the best. Sorry, Wo-Chien. It's okay, you have a shiny though now. We just gotta get it. I'm trying to think of what my opponent probably wants to lead off with. U-turn is super safe here, and I'm not particularly interested in just taking a Magma Storm right to the face or a Lava Plume or anything like that. So, options. I'm thinking I want to just go ahead and U-turn out, by the way. Also, I'm not sure how I want to do the music and sound effects. I'm recording this more in like a longer term content instead of a faster sped up battle content. So let me know in the comments section which one you prefer down below. So we're going to pop the air balloon, and of course it's going to return to me, as that air balloon is now going to enable us to hit this thing with ground type attacks, which we don't have anyway. Astro Lance is a good shout. We do have the Aura Sphere to hit the Heatran. We also have Volcanion. Volcanion is going to be able to take Earth Power pretty well. It's also going to take Fire moves really well. We have the Heavy Duty Boots in case he has the Stealth Rocks that he's going to possibly set up. We also have Rotom that we can go into, which is pretty safe on Heatran. Only worried about Toxic. But correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Heatran actually lost Toxic in Scarlet and Violet. I'm going to go out into Shock Bite here, as the Stealth Rock is going to get set up now. And we are determining what we want to go for here. We could just easily Volt Switch out if we would like to do that. We can't really do much else to this thing. I'm kind of curious what it wants to go for. I also kind of want to maybe force him into early Terastallization, if that's kind of what he's about. And Rotom and swapping into Volcanion can definitely do that. You would think it would be an odd idea considering Volcanion takes super effective damage from the possible Grass Terra, if that's going to be the case. But Volcanion is actually a lot bulkier than people give it credit for. I remember a set back in the day that Robotnik used. Robotnik is sexy. What an old name people haven't heard in so long. Shoutouts to him, by the way. Anyway, so the Terra Blast Grass is going to come our way. We don't even take half from it. And with the Heavy Duty Boots, we can swap around all day into this. Now, unfortunately, we do have the Flamethrower, but fortunately we have the Flamethrower, but unfortunately he has the Flash Fire, so that's just not going to be a matchup that we can win in any way. Now, I'm thinking he's probably going to want to go Earth Power directly, so I can go out into Astro Lance. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm actually going to be compilating these videos together, and everything is going to lead into high-definition Wi-Fi battles. If you know what that means and what device that means, then congratulations. I guess the Dreams into Reality 60 frames per second, which we will get into. Astro Lance is such a good switch. Earth Power, Fire Move, Terra Grass. I can take all of these. I'm immune to the Earth Power because of Levitate, and I can take all of the other stabbed attacks. Now, I do, of course, come into the Stealth Rocks, but I have not Levitate, so that's really nice. And I'm not sure what he's going to want to go into. I'm thinking he might want to go into Scizor. Now, we do have the possible Mystical Fire, or he may think we have Mystical Fire. But Psyshock, I just want to go for a neutral hit. I just want to make the safe play and get some damage on this team residually, because I think it'll help me out in the long run. Thinking of the Scizor, though, if that's what his swap is, I do have a very safe check in the form of Rotom. The only thing he can really do to Rotom is U-turn on it to damage it. Bullet Punch won't do hardly anything at all. And it looks to be a physically defensive Scizor, looking the fact from leftovers and the very low damage on Psyshock, even though it's resisted. I think it's going to be a physically defensive Scizor. You either see them fully offensive with Choice Band and All Out, or you do see them with some HP investment. I do like bulky Scizor myself, especially bulky Mega Scizor. Speaking of which, Mega Evolutions are right around the corner in October, and I cannot wait. And Pokemon Champions looks so good. And so does Mega Dragonite. Guys, what do you guys think of Mega Dragonite? Anyways, this works out fantastic. Iron Soul comes in here with his heart and Steel Cold Soul and does some nice chip residually to the Scizor with the Rocky Helmet. Of course, my opponent goes for the dual wing beat, so that tells me that it's Technician Scizor. Looks like a bulkier Technician Scizor from what I'm kind of looking at here. And that's fun. I'm thinking, okay, we could just set up an Iron Defense, see what he wants to go to, see if he wants to U-turn out. But he decides to swap into Tornadus, the Rank Master. Now, the only reason he would go into Torn here is the fact that Tornadus Therian is most likely, most indefinitely carrying the Heat Wave. However, I'm pretty okay with that as well, because Pyroclast on the bottom of my team, my Hisuian Arcanine, doesn't mind taking a Heat Wave at all. As a matter of fact, it minds so little about a Heat Wave that how much damage do you guys think it's going to do? It's 4 times resisted. 4 times resisted. Take your bets. 10, 20, 50, 80, 100. Any damage? Okay, so we're going to come into the Stealth Rock. So we take 50 from the Stealth Rocks. And here comes the Heat Wave. That does like 15 damage. Talk about resisted. Now, I know my opponent is not going to want to. So the thing here, the mindset I have, is I was going to go for Choice Band and Flare Blitz. But I'm just going to go for Head Smash. This will tell me and alert me if the Clodsire is specially or physically defensive. Plus, it will absolutely eviscerate Torn. He takes half, over half, 65% from a banded Head Smash. And you know what? We are cons. We always go for it. Great movie, by the way. Gonna go ahead and go for another Choice Banded Head Smash. We know this thing will knock it out, but unfortunately for us, it does miss. He goes for a recover here. Now, my thought process on this next turn is thinking that, okay, he does have the Earthquake. If he has the Earthquake and the Earth Power, it is 4 times super effective on the Arcanine, and while I could easily get Latios in to go for a Psyshock, knowing that it's less physically defensive, I'm kind of okay with chip damage either way here. And since I'm Choice Banded anyway, and know for a fact that I can 2-hit KO this thing, I'm going for it. My idea here, like I said, is to Terastallize into Fairy on the oncoming chance of any ground-type attacks to remove that 4 times super effective that they have on that. I'm not too worried about the poison as far as, like, the poison stab. I could go for a Head Smash, and... oh, I missed. That's unfortunate. Here comes a Toxic. And that's going to put my Arcanine on a timer. That is so unfortunate. That can't miss ever since Generation 7 or 8. When you become a Poison type, you cannot miss Toxic. Of course, you know, unless immunity or something like that. So, Corrosion Salazzle's just so good in that aspect to be able to poison Steel types. Here comes another Banded Head Smash. And Arcanine must be pretty fervently pissed off about that Toxic, because we do about 65 to 70%. And then, of course, he just recovers. And I was like, you know, at some point, I'm fighting a losing battle here. Arcanine's on a timer. I might need it later. Spoiler alert. I'm very glad I saved it. Anyways, I'm thinking we can now go into Latios. I doubt he'll double Toxic. He'll probably just recover, or he'll probably just go for something else. We're kind of get to see another move off of this Clodsire as I go out back into Astrolance here. As he sets up a layer of spikes as we come in with Latios. I'm very, very curious about this Psyshock damage. Because not only can we damage Clodsire, maybe he's scared of it getting one-hit KO'd. I'm not really sure how defensive this Clodsire is on the defensive side as far as to take a stab Psyshock from the likes of a Latios. But we also have that Heatran in the back that is also can come in as well. Remember, it is Grass Terastallization. But instead, he decides to go for Tornadus. And we're talking about bad plays I make. This Torn is fully offensive. It takes over half from a Psyshock, and that is fantastic. And that tells me we can take him out from another one. And I was like, okay, he's going to U-turn. Nah, he knocks me off, takes me down to 17 HP, and knocks off my useless Haban Berry in this case. But you know what? I think the trade-off for taking out Tornadus Therian is pretty worth it, to be completely honest. We're going to take that out of there, and that is the first score on the board. We're 10 minutes in, and that is the first KO. That kind of alerts to you what kind of battle we're going to have going forward. He brings in the Scizor, and even knowing if I have the Mystical Fire, he could take me out with a Bullet Punch, but he makes a double swap into the Heatran. I'm assuming predicting to try to grab the Flash Fire. Maybe the Scizor didn't want a Bullet Punch, I'm not sure. We go for an Aura Sphere, we chip it down a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, is this enough chip to take this thing out with a Draco Meteor? We may not have Life Orb, but we still have Latios, and Latios has ridiculous special attack. We don't miss the Draco in the key, and we take out the Heatran. That is so huge, and alleviates a lot of the threat later on that this Pokemon has against the rest of my team. That is 2 Pokemon down. We are on a roll. We're getting started. But that roll, we're about to get rolled out by this Azumarill. And remember, I want to say that this Psyshock does really low damage. But I have no abilities here to swap out and let this thing set up a Belly Drum for free. I have to damage this thing. I can't go for Draco, or a Sphere is not going to help me. And Psyshock is either because he's a max HP Azumarill, or I'm just much weaker from that special attack drop of that Draco Meteor. Regardless of that fact, he now gets the Citrus Berry. He's right above half, and he is ready to absolutely devastate my team. And I'm thinking, okay, I can come in with the Water Absorb. Volcanion seems to be the only thing that can actually come in here, and I think my opponent knew that, which is why the rocks and the spikes are up. Now, at this particular point in the battle, I forgot about my heavy-duty boots, so I probably could have came in. However, I can't really damage the Azumarill. The Steam Eruptions, whatever. I don't have choice specs, and I don't have really offensive things to hit this thing. So I'm going to go out to Pyroclast, and I was like, okay, holy crap. 62 HP. We come in, take some pointed stones and jagged stones and spikes to the face. We're at 41 HP. And I was like, oh my god, Retro, your speed tiers, this is where they're important. We could very easily go for extreme speed and knock this thing out. But are we in range of extreme speed? If he is max HP like I very much fear, we might not be in range. And he might be able to outspeed us with Aqua Jet, because I believe I am adamant Hisuian Arcanine. Luckily, we do outspeed, but we don't take it out. We miss the KO on Abysmal Nothing. And the Aqua Jet now takes me down. And just like that, this battle and tide is turning just like that. Down goes my Latios. Down goes my Arcanine. And we are starting to get rolled. And I was like, okay, Iron Soul. If anything is going to take a Belly Drum Azumarill, it's Skarmory, but we have to come into Pointed Stones. We're at 108 HP, and I was like, okay, physically defensive Skarmory, let's do this, let's do this. This is what you are made for, is physical defense. Can you pretty please take an Aqua Jet? Now, my opponent could have very easily gone for like a Waterfall or Aqua Tail here, and spoiler alert, we wouldn't have taken that. But it's okay, because we have that Rocky Helmet. And that Rocky Helmet, I believe my opponent is at enough HP where I can just take this thing out. It is a 4-all match right now. I led strong, and then he took out 2 of my Pokemon like it was nothing. Not only does Iron Soul live with 2 HP, knock the Azumarill out with the Rocky Helmet, but we get a Roost Off on the end phase of the turn. What an end phase. No face down cards. No big magic cards played, but we get a nice heal, and that brings us right at half HP, and we are sitting pretty. Now, my opponent's last 3 Pokemon are absolutely and mortifyingly threatening. It is Latios, Scizor, and of course his final Pokemon, which even at this point I forgot, but it's in the battle. Looking at, oh, Clodsire. Clodsire's still here, of course. So Clodsire, Scizor, and Latios versus my Volcanion, Rotom, and Zarude, because Skarmory is not going to live Latios, and I really don't have any particulars to come into. However, I make a really good play, and my opponent also makes a great prediction to go for a trick, to trick his choice item onto my Skarmory, which would have put me in a really bad position. However, Volcanion having a choice specs, I'm pretty okay with, because let's remember, Latios is resistant to the water type Steam Eruption. But Steam Eruption is like a boosted Scald, ladies and gentlemen. It has a 30% chance to burn, and it has power, but they miss a Draco Meteor in the key, and I think I actually would have taken that. I believe I'm specially defensive Volcanion, as we saw from earlier from that Terra Blast Grass. Anyways, we do a fantastic amount of damage. After the burn, we bring it just about to half. And one more burn will also... I'm also hoping with another burn, I can probably take it out with another Spec Steam Eruption. And we're just looking good. I'm completely okay staying in here. And thinking about his Pokemon in the back, Clodsire is there. And we also have Scizor. So Volcanion is looking really, really, really strong here. Luckily, he did miss that Draco Meteor. That put us in such a good position. What I decided to do here is I decided to actually go out into Iron Soul. Now, the thing is, I do have to come in on those pointed stones again, and because I'm not specially defensive, we are definitely not in range to take a Draco Meteor, but Draco Meteor has another really strong application, as we saw earlier with my Latios, lowering that special attack stat, and that's going to be really, really important for what we've got going down. Just to keep up with the score, it is 2 on my side and 3 on my opponent's side. Latios goes down to yellow health, and I believe it outspeeds Zarude. So now we're going to bring in the Volcanion again, I believe. Yep, Volcanion again. And now that his special attack is lowered, that is a really, really big deal. But we don't have our heavy-duty boots anymore, so we've got to come in on Spikes and Stealth Rocks, bringing us at 40 HP exactly, as we see what our opponent wants to do. And I make a great prediction, predicting him to go into Clodsire to get the free water absorb and free turn. I decide to go for Specs Flamethrower. How much damage does it do? It does okay. This definitely tells me he is specially defensive Clodsire by 100% there. So we're going to go for another Flamethrower here. See what our opponent wants to go for. Probably just Toxic, honestly. The fact that he didn't use Earthquake earlier tells me that this is a more defensive build, kind of like a support build. Spikes, Toxic, Haze, Recover, and something else. Anyways, we're going to get poisoned, and the problem here is it doesn't seem like any chip, because he's just going for Recover on my Specs Flamethrowers. We don't really get anywhere with these Specs Flamethrowers, but it's okay. Because even though we don't get anywhere with these Specs Flamethrowers, and there's no crit, the Recover brings him really, really high, and there's 3 minutes left in the battle, so we've almost used up our entire 20 minutes to battle this great legendary man here. So now the Poison brings us down to 7 HP, and you know what? We got one more Specs Flamethrower in the tank. We're going to give it all we got. We're going to breathe some fire. We get a crit! And that crit, ladies and gentlemen, is so relevant right now. You guys remember the very beginning of the battle? You guys remember the very beginning of the battle when I said that we wanted to bluff the Choice Scarf as hard as we possibly could? But you know what? I don't remember if we're Jolly or Adamant, but Zarude has a crutch, if you will. 2 crutches in this case. And the first one is the fact that we know that this Clodsire is not physically defensive. You guys following what I'm doing? You guys picking up what I'm whipping down? Oh, you do. So we're going to now go for a stabbed Power Whip. And you know what? When I went for the stabbed Power Whip and thought in my mind about the stabbed Power Whip, I was like, okay, I just want to chip this thing down to a point that I can take it out. Or, more effectively, maybe we could take it out and then we wouldn't get poisoned. So we're going to go for it, and we whip it, and we absolutely destroy the Clodsire. That critical hit Flamethrower put us in range to knock this thing out. What a turn. What a turn. Zarude goes up to 147 after Leftovers Recovery. Our opponent no longer has Clodsire. We now only have Latios and Scizor to deal with. Latios is weakened down. would have to go for like a Draco Meteor or something like that. And Scizor can absolutely eviscerate us with a U-turn. So we got to keep that in mind. So what happens here is he comes out into Bachok the Paldea champion. And we still have this knockoff in the back, this knockoff. So we're going to go for this stabbed knockoff here. Again, I think I'm adamant because we go for this stabbed knockoff. It does fantastic amounts of damage. Down to the Dark Red. He goes for the dual wing beat. Instead of the U-turn, we live it on 5 HP, ladies and gentlemen. 5 HP. And what I decided to do here is because after this leftovers recovery, we're at 15 HP. I think we are slightly higher HP than this Scizor. So you know what we're going to do? We are going to bring in the Rotom on the possible Bullet Punch. And because Rotom has more HP than the Latios, pretty much about the same HP, and the Zarude matches the HP of the Scizor, it is down to a small HP points difference. We take this Bullet Punch Phenomenally. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And with swapped HP bars of almost approximately equal value, we take the match versus Jay, aka Tibbs. Thank you so much for that underused battle and my first intro into underused. Guys, if you like the team, if you like the battle, if you like the music, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the very first underused Wi-Fi battle. And do you think I really triumphed? Or did I just get lucky? Let me know. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Sooner than you think. Take care. Rate, comment, subscribe. Peace out.